I record to,
Now I got
Yeah,
it.
now I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
okay. All
Well,
right, we're recording this
Yeah.
for posterity so that we can have the option later to
Yeah.
have this available for other people. So share screen. Okay. Let me get to
Whoops.
my right screen.
Like your email.
Okay. Yeah. Now slideshow from the beginning. Okay. So do you see it says phone banking updates Costa Rica cocktail hour? Okay. So we're recording and I'm sharing my screen. I have a little bit of things to share here. So our plan for this evening, and we introduce ourselves and what we're drinking, have a few PowerPoint slides. We're going to have some updates, and then we're going to have questions and anecdotes. Okay, Janice is coming in. Good. Janice, we're recording this because we have a small group and people are busy. We want to capture some of Edmund's comments in our discussion, so I just want to let you know. Okay, so
That's fine.
uh,
Thank you.
okay, so introductions, we'll do that. Uh, and we'll go ahead and I'll just call on you by name and you just tell us who who you are, where you vote. You can tell us where you live and what you're drinking tonight. So I'll start with Edmund.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my name is Edmund, or you can call me Ed. My last name is Alkaslasi, but I don't expect anybody to worry about that. So Ed is fine. I vote in the state of Oregon. I lived there for 21 years. And what I'm drinking tonight is going to bore everybody to tears. I'm drinking a glass of water.
Good for hydration. All right, Helena.
Hi, I'm Helena Graney. I vote in Massachusetts. I lived there for about 30 years. I live in San Ramon. And I'm drinking mint tea.
Okay, Nelica.
Well, I'm drinking my usual coffee with a part of a avocado. I'm used to that because in Indonesia they like the combination of avocado and coffee. And
Oh.
since I lived there, first 11 years of my life, more or less,
Hmm.
I still have that
Interesting.
habit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a restaurant in Denver, and a Malaysian guy founded the restaurant, and they serve smoothies, avocado chocolate smoothies and durian smoothies. So anyway, I vote in Colorado. To be honestly, I never really lived there, but my two brothers moved there. One of them died, the other one still lives there. But I lived there 46 years in Indiana, and I just got sick and tired of politics there. And they kept hounding me about state income tax. So, I would rather pay state income tax in Colorado than in Indiana. And so anyway, I followed
And
the rules and got my residency there. And that's where
and
I'm.
you live in Tres Rios near Cartago.
Well, that's where I used to live for the first 6 years here, but then I had a small house built in the mountains where I had friends. I have friends. It's in Distrito de Corralillo de Cartago. It's a beautiful coffee growing area, steep mountainsides, very green. And I live
Okay.
in the village of San Juan Norte. Is the first on this route is the first town south of the Canton de Desamparados. So you have to go through Desamparados to get here.
Okay. Janice, introduce yourself.
I'm Janice and I am drinking water. We were at Friends earlier and I've already had 2 glasses of wine, so I'm definitely done with the alcohol for the evening. And I vote in Minnesota, and that's it.
And you live in Puriscal.
I live in Puriscal, La Legua, so outside of Puriscal, so I'm near Connie.
That's right. That's right. All
And,
right.
and what about you, Connie?
Oh, I'm Connie. I vote in Texas. We moved here from Dallas about 16 and almost a half years ago. I'm drinking Pinot Grigio. This I finishing off the bottle that I've been drinking that was gifted to me by a friend a couple of years ago. So I'm going to go ahead and go through a few notes, and then we will uh, have some information given to us by Ed. Our son is Ed. He's Edward. I think Ed is a good name. So, uh, first of all, 16 days. We're closing in on it, and so this is meant to be a calendar over here. This icon on the right, and so we have 16 days until the election, and the messaging right here is just vote, vote. Just make sure you vote, and we're now done with Call Hub.
Oh,
We don't have any, and we don't have any campaigns up on Call Hub to call. We were calling Democrats abroad who
yes.
were in had previously voted, but who we had not talked to in this election cycle. And I told, well, I was just really glad that most of the ones that I actually spoke to said that they had already returned their ballots. So that's good. So we were in good shape for that. And so that way we were able to update the database, got some more bad numbers. People didn't have that number anymore. And I had one the other day that I called a woman in Mexico and asked for the voter name, found out, okay, he didn't have that number anymore. I don't know, maybe it was a phone number of property where gringos just keep, renting the place. So he wasn't there anymore, and she's not a member of Democrats Abroad, but she was very happy to tell me that she had already voted for Kamala Harris. So that was kind of fun, So we had a little chat about that. And in the last 30 days, um, in the last 30
Connie,
days,
Connie, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the link to this meeting to Steve. He just called me and I can't minimize the screen. So can you send him the link to this meeting?
uh,
Uh, I can't,
tell Nelica, send him
yeah,
a message and tell him the link is in the phone banking group.
phone
I just
banking group.
in the phone banking group, okay? And everybody else, please put yourself on mute for a moment,
Okay,
okay?
sorry.
So,
You coming up?
all right. Okay, I'm gonna mute you. Nelica, I muted you. Okay. Now if I get back to what I was saying. In the last 30 days, and these were the rolling 30 days, as we learned when we started. Um, so the last month being the last 30 days, 12 callers from Democrats Abroad Costa Rica had conversations with 3,584 voters. And in the last 7 days, 10 callers from Dems Abroad Costa Rica had conversations with 603 voters. So we could see things were kind of tailing off. And I wanted to show you this slide, the top 5 all-time callers for Costa Rica. Because I was looking at the leaderboard last night. They have this week, which is the 7-day rolling period. Last month, the 30-day. And this is all-time calling statistics for Costa Rica callers. So I'm still at the top of the list. My calling production had dropped off when I was doing other things to be the coordinator, but I'm still at the top of the list, so I'm real happy about that. Steve Johnson and Janice, who is new to phone banking this year for Coast Democrats Abroad, is up at number 3. Dev Jocelyn, who's not on this call, had 1,095 all time, and Nelica had 1,039 answered calls. And of course, we know these are answered calls either where you had a conversation or you left a message. And Nelica has some of us have like big goals of how many calls we want to make in a day and what we consider our personally assigned quotas. Nelica is steady, constant, and there she's number 5 all time. She's been doing this for a while, so she hasn't like set, I'm going to make 700 calls this week or whatever, but there she is in the top 5 for Costa Rica. So bravo.
I'm
That's so
surprised
neat.
because, my goal was 20 a day, 20 calls
Yep,
a day.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Wow.
saying. Okay, I'm gonna ask y'all to keep yourselves on mute unless you're called upon. So I'm gonna mute Helena. Okay, muting Janice, and partly it's because we're recording this one. Okay, so I have pulled up some statistics from the last few days to share with you today that you could see by the dates here on the screen that that how many calls. The first column is, of course, the date. The second column here is the number of calls made in a 24-hour period. And then the third column that you can see here is the number of callers who made those calls. So you could see that on October 13th, we had, which was 1 week ago today, 5,712 calls were made by 134 callers. And then on the 16th, which is about 4 days ago, that there was 147 callers logged on that day and called at least one person. And so that we had a large engagement of phone bankers. And then you could see here as we were finishing up the PV, the previous voters campaign, that we had only had 1,417 callers on Friday and 56 phone bankers as things were tapering off. So now what's happening and what's next? So we got this message. If you went to Call Hub in the last couple of days, there was one thing up and it says, click this. Then this was the message that we got as of yesterday. We have completed these campaigns, and then had some links to say, help us win by making calls to voters. And this was through the campaign in the US or making calls through the state party of your choice. And it told us that you might need a US phone number and a VPN to join these campaigns. So we may hear from them if we get, they could reinstitute Call Hub calling. And so be aware and look for that.
Connie, I'm sorry, but Steve called me again and he wants the direct link.
It's okay.
Because he said the
Okay.
link that in the.
I
the
don't know how to
RSVP.
do that without just a moment. Let me see.
Okay. Yeah, I can't minimize the screen. That's my problem.
Okay, I'm going to stop share so I can send this
Okay.
to Steve.
Okay, then
Okay, please put yourself back on mute.
okay. I can email him now. Okay.
I'll do it. I'll send him the link.
Okay.
I've got the Zoom.
Yeah.
I can get back into it.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Okay, where's the meeting?
But really, I can easily do it,
Copy the clipboard.
so you won't have to mess up your screen.
It's already messed up. Never mind.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, please put yourself on mute now. So Steve will join us in a minute. I'm going to share my screen again, go back to what we're doing. Share. Okay. Find my PowerPoint. Okay. So this is what we were just talking about. And so that there could be something come up, either ballot curing, runoffs, last minute messaging. So watch your emails where you generally get your messaging directly from Call Hub to see if something comes up. And of course, if it does, then we'll be putting it in the phone banking chat. Okay, so this is, well, we're gonna have a chance to share your highlights or lowlights, some of the interesting calls you've made, your plan for the upcoming week. So we're gonna hear from Edmund in a minute. And then at the conclusion, we're gonna say, or we're gonna have a cocktail hour next week, but we're not gonna go to that point yet. So, okay, I'm gonna stop share. There Steve is, troublemaker again. Okay, Steve, we're recording this, so we're
got the-
recording it. We're recording it because we want to hear what Edmund has to say and be able to share it later if other people are interested in hearing about phone banking through the National Democratic Party or state Democratic parties. So I'm glad you could join us. I'm going to ask you, go ahead, Edmund, tell us about what you have experienced, the and I want to know the technical difficulties, the pros and cons, the kinds of experiences you're having doing what you're doing outside of Call Hub to get out the vote. So I'm going to mute myself and listen to you, and I'm going to spotlight you to be the for the one who's speaking.
Are we good? Can folks hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, the one unmuted person says he can hear me. Let's see, I'm just trying to see you guys. Okay. Connie, can you just give me a nod? Should I go? Because I can't quite see. Yes, okay. Okay, great. So the links that they have sent us through Democrats Abroad, one of them is for a website called events.democrats.org. And if you click on that link, what you see is a number of calling opportunities that you can pick from. And what I've chosen to do is just pick the same one every day, and I'll probably stick with it until the end, unless Democrats Abroad comes up with a new program. And the event that I select is called Phone Bank with Team Harris Walls. And the reason I've been picking that one is because next to it, it says highest priority. And I kind of figured that the Harris Walls team knows what needs to be done. I assume they do. So, yeah, so when you go to that, if you were to click on that event, there's a little video just to get your feet wet. It's about a 2 or 3 minute video that shows you how their dialer works. So their dialer is called Scale to Win, the one we've been using with Call Hub. Well, I guess there it is. It's called Call Hub. And you know, I don't mind if people are unmuted in case people have questions. Like I don't want to leave people in the dust, you know. So I don't know, raise your hand or do whatever, you know, somehow let it be known if you want some clarity on something. It is definitely true that you should have a VPN. Does everybody know what a VPN is? And I can't hear any of you, so.
Yes, I know what it is.
Okay, that's great. I used to have one, then I didn't. And this website worked the first day without one, and then I couldn't get into the dialer. And I talked to a tech person who said, you might need the VPN. I signed up for a VPN called ExpressVPN, which is going to cost me $9 for the next month. And I only need it for the next month. So I sprang for the VPN, and I haven't had any problems accessing the dialer since then. So, so if you select an event like Phone Bank with the Harris Walls team, what you'll see is it's really a continuous event. There are blocks of time that you can sign up for continuously from now until November 1st, except for during the nighttime hours when we don't call people in the US. And so that's a similar thing to what we're used to with DA, the flexibility. Like whenever you have time, you can just, there will be an opportunity, you can sign up and do it unless it's, you know, bedtime in the US. So when you sign up for an event, or for me, it's the event, the screen will ask you for some personal information. It will, and I always put in my real name, and I put in my real email, and then it does want a US phone number and a US zip code. And I just put in my mom's phone number and my mom's zip code. And you guys could use my mom's phone number and zip code too. Like it's not like they don't call her or anything. She has no idea. So as long as you have some kind of valid, it doesn't have to be yours, but just a number that shows up as a valid US number and a valid US zip code, you can use the system. It doesn't have to be a number that you are using. Right. So let's say I were to sign up for one of the windows of time tomorrow. Maybe there's a window that's, you know, maybe it says Monday 10 to noon Eastern Standard Time. And if I click on that, then you click on attend, and then you get an email. It's kind of like we did for tonight, where you get an email with a Zoom link. And so when your time comes, you click on the Zoom link, and just like tonight, the host lets you in when the meeting starts. And every window of time that you sign up for begins with a, let's say, 15 or 20-minute training session on how to use the scale to win dialer. So you definitely want to do that the first time. But once you've done it, you don't ever need to do it again. So I'll say a little bit more about that, but you definitely want to do it the first time. And it's not a bad idea to look at the little video too, just to get your feet wet. Right, so you're in this Zoom meeting, someone is explaining how to use the dialer. If you don't need to hear how to use the dialer, if you already know how, you can look in the chat, and the leader of the event will put a link to that campaign for that time window. So as soon as you're ready to leave the explanation part, you can click on the link in the chat, and it'll take you straight into the dialer. Once you get to the dialer, preview the script. And so I click on preview script, and it's what we're used to, sort of. I mean, it looks completely different, but it's a branching script. So depending on what kind of answer you get a prompt that is appropriate, you know, for that answer. Right. So once you're done previewing the script and you're to talk to people, then you just exit the script preview, and there's a little button that says start making calls or something like that, and you just start making calls. And it definitely has a different look than the call hub that we're used to. And the other thing is, you know, what you end up doing is a surprise because, you know, the name of this event that I'm going to be doing from now till the end is just phone banking with the Harris Walls campaign. So the first day I did it, what was I doing? I was calling voters in Detroit. And I did that for about 10 minutes, and that campaign ran out of calls to make, and they switched us in the middle of it to calling people in Georgia. So, okay, we'll call people in Georgia. And then another call, the same campaign, I was recruiting people to make phone calls to the swing states. So these are people who I guess are known to be strong. Maybe they volunteered in the past. You know, I don't know how they put these lists together, but the list was pretty amazing. A lot of the people I contacted wanted to do phone banking. So that's something to be prepared for is, it's really a grab bag. Like, and the other day when I called, I was calling people who had signed up for the Obama rally in Nevada a day or two ago. And the way it works is they get called once or twice. And if they confirm, then you send them an email that they have to bring with them to the event. And we ran out of calls for that one. And then I started calling people in Omaha, Nebraska, who are going to go to a rally with Tim Walz. So, you just have no idea what you're going to get. So it kind of makes it interesting in that respect. But you do have to be kind of flexible. But like I say, you can always just put a stop to it and preview the script, and to get your feet under you before you make another call.
How long did the calls last? I mean, how many did you make in a half an hour, an hour?
I didn't keep track. That is one difference with Call Hub. Call Hub tells you how many calls you've made, and I didn't keep track, so I'm not really sure how many calls I made. One or two of the calls I made, there was a lot of wrong numbers, a lot of hangups. So I made quite a few, but they weren't very interesting. And then others have had a lot more participation. So, that slows things down. So it's fewer calls.
Mhm.
Most of the windows that you sign up for are 2-hour long windows. And the way you can do whatever you want, right? Like, you don't have to do it for 2 hours, but I don't stick around for the 15-minute tutorial at the beginning anymore. So I start right away, and they always want to stop after an hour and 45 minutes so they can do a debrief, which is kind of cool. That's there's some things that I like better about Call Hub. There's some things I like better about Scale to Win. I do like the debrief at the end because you can talk to people who've just made calls over the same time period that you made, and hear right away, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and some tips and this and that. There's also a little form, a link to a form that they put in the chat chat box, where they want you to write a few words about a debrief, like if there was a problem you were having or something you wish was different, or whatever is on your mind. There's a little form you can fill out. You don't have to, but if you have something to offer, they want to hear what you have to say in kind of a formal way.
Do you log each of these calls or no?
No,
It's just a call. Okay.
it's just a call. Yeah. Another thing that is different is there's no time to practice names. So, one of the things I always do in Call Hub is I always click on the voter answered tab right away so that I have a minute to try to work out how to say their name before they answer. And this one doesn't work that way. Like, as soon as the voter answers the phone, their name pops up. So you just got to spit something out and make the best of it. I'm always happy to see a name that I'm familiar with, but some of the names can be challenging, as all of you guys know. Another thing, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but there's no place to make notes. Whatever happens, happens. The only really opportunity to make notes is during the calling. You can go back to the Zoom link and leave a note in the chat box, or you can wait until the call is over and say whatever you want to say in the debriefing form. Another thing that's kind of cool is you get to see how many people are making calls while you are making calls. The other day, there were 200 and some people calling while I was calling. And when it was over, that was the one where we were recruiting volunteers to phone bank. And during the debrief, some people said, I got 6 people, I got 10 people. And you multiply that by 200 people, it was quite impressive, and made me feel real good. So I think those were the things that came to mind, but I'm more than happy to fill in any gray areas.
I I wanted to, how do they get these lists of who to call? Are these Democrats, or are they just people who have previously voted Democratic, or they just calling lists for registered voters? How do you have any idea how these people are selected to be called, other than the ones who have previously volunteered?
I don't know.
And
Yeah.
and when you call people, have you encountered people who have, well, I know we always get hangups even when we're calling Democrats abroad members, but have you gotten MAGAs who are like cussed you or anything?
I mean, I've had a couple MAGAs, none of them cussed me. But yeah, so it hasn't been like a dramatic or anything. Just, we're all used to the occasional MAGA.
Okay. So have you been doing this for what, 2 or 3 days now, or a week, or how long?
Maybe 4 or 5 days. My internet went out yesterday, and I'm sitting at a neighbor's house, so I can talk to you guys. So I'm hoping I get the internet back in a day or two.
Okay.
But yeah, been 4 days maybe.
Okay. Um, who else has questions for Ed? Steve, I'm sure you've got some kind of questions.
I've been totally concentrating on in-person things, and I'm going to continue to do that. So it won't be phone banking. There are a number of people here who are desperate to vote, and I'm helping them one at a time. Through phone banking, you're contacting a lot more people than I am. So thank you very much, Ed.
Oh,
Doing a
you're
great
welcome. Listen, I'm so happy to be connected with this group of people. I just, we all know we all know what's at stake, and to have a
Right.
group of people that's all trying to work with the same thing it's
Right.
fantastic.
You've really come on gangbusters. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it's
My
great.
pleasure.
I do have a question. I'm trying to think of what it was. Oh, okay. How did you get the MAGA voters? How did they end up being somebody that you called? And is there a script is there a text? Is there a script? And that will depend on the day. Is that correct?
Yes, there's always a script,
Okay.
and the script will change depending on if you're, confirming that someone's going to an Obama rally, or if you're trying to recruit somebody to be a phone banker, or trying to reach out to a voter in Georgia to make sure they know how and when and where to vote. So the script is going to be different depending on what you're doing that day. And there's no way to know what it's going to be until you start. That's why I do recommend previewing the script. But yeah, there is absolutely a script. It kind of starts the way we're used to, hi, this is Ed, is so-and-so available. And then I think your next sentence, you let it be known that you're calling. I like to say from the Harris campaign. For some reason,
Yeah.
I prefer that over saying I'm calling with the Democrats. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable saying that, and that's when you find out pretty quickly if somebody's oriented the other way.
And do you send texts as well and voicemails?
We do send texts. Like for the people who indicated an interest in phone banking, there's a link that you send them a text. For people who confirmed that they were going to the rally, you send a text. Sending a text is not a regular part of every call. It depends more on what the call is for and what response you get. So that's a difference compared to what we're used to, where we always send a text with the call hub system.
Okay. No, thank you. No, it's helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Now, excuse me, Nelica, do you have questions for Ed, or?
Not really. My first priority is to vote. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
Emails about the different questions on the ballot. So, but I need to get started on that. And I was considering, since I speak Spanish, maybe doing some for Arizona, for Ruben Gallego, I guess. But I don't want to have to dial numbers. It's just too hard. I do have
Well, with it, I don't know if I said this, but the scale to win system is similar to the call hub system in that there's we don't do any dialing.
Good.
The computer system dials, and when somebody answers, there's a little squeak. And so you hear the little squeak, you're supposed to say, hi, is Steve available?
Okay, well, thank you all for first ballot vote.
All right.
Yeah.
Janice, do you have any other questions or anything for Ed?
No, I don't. I think that's really interesting. I'm glad that you're doing it. I mean, I may think about it, but at this point, I'm sort of, it's been sort of nice the last 2 days actually getting stuff done around my house. So,
Well-
yeah, I think I'll take a couple more days off before I start getting back in any kind of phone banking, but we'll see.
I think that for those of us who've been making the calls for Democrats abroad, it's a pretty easy transition to this system. I think the learning curve is pretty short and flat. And, it's hard for people like us to keep this in mind, but there's a good chunk of the country that is just now tuning into the fact that there's an election coming up. And so, as important as everything that we've done so far has been, I think this final 16 days is super, super important. So whatever we have left, this is the time.
Steve, do you have something else to say? You've unmuted yourself, so I thought maybe you do.
Who, me? No, I'm just enjoying listening to Ed.
Okay.
He's a real inspiration to us all.
Yeah. Well, Steve's been working in voter assistance, and as y'all are aware that they're still in the period of a ballot palooza, a 26-hour online live voter assistance event to help people get their ballots, return their ballots, check their registration, whatever. So,
And
yeah, go ahead and tell us about that.
yeah, I got in, whoops, let me. Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'd been in one Zoom session before, and I went into a breakout session with Heidi, and she trained me on intercom. So I have actually not helped anyone intercom on Zoom. So I got into this and immediately realized that I was over my head. And so they were going to assign me as when you start out on helping voters on Zoom, you can shadow experienced callers. But they've been busy all day long and all day yesterday. They've helped hundreds of people. But when I got in, it was kind of a slack period. But what I'm realizing, it's completely different. I've been helping people one-on-one, and in Costa Rica, all the people I've been helping are old school. And either they fall into the category of they have never voted in their lives and they're like 80 years old, or they haven't voted for several years, or the other category is people who've been more or less voting, but they haven't gotten their ballots. A lot of people from Los Angeles County, California. And the people in the Zoom sessions, most of the callers are younger people. They're into Europe. And to get help in the Zoom session, they have to first fill out a spreadsheet about who they are and what their situation is. And the people I'm working with would not be capable of doing that. So it's completely different population of people. But I learned I was just amazed. There's some very sharp people in Zoom who are answering these questions. And I immediately started learning things. And it's kind of late since I won't be phone banking. I think they have a Zoom. They're having even with the Zoomapalooza thing, I think they still have a Zoom session every day.
Oh, yeah.
They might start doing that instead of phone banking. So I'm just, these people are just amazing who are doing it, and I'm learning a lot. I did learn today, they immediately, when I first got in, they were discussing returning backup ballots via fax. And I said, wait a minute, I thought all backup ballots had to be returned by a postal mail. And they said, no. For example, if it's California or Florida, if their law says you can vote by a fax, then you can return your backup ballot by a fax. The one thing you have to do is you have to make sure if someone asks for help, you first have to check to make sure they are registered in that state. Because if you're not registered, then they will not count your backup ballot. So that's the first thing. And what I'm finding is people want, first I help them to register, request their ballot. Then a week or two later, they haven't received it. So I go back to their house, help them a second time to do a backup ballot because they haven't received their regular ballot. And then a week later, they get their regular ballot and they want me to come back a third time and help them. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to make 3 house calls for 1 vote. So what I do basically, I go to their house, make sure they're registered, do an FPCA with them, and we immediately do a backup ballot. And so everything's taken care of and I don't have to go back a second time. And then I learned, and I've kind of known this before, for Los Angeles County. Los Angeles County has more people in it than most states in the union. And they have thousands of absentee ballots coming in. And their fax machines basically shut down during the day. So if you want to, and if you use a fax service, the fax service will say, yes, we sent your fax. But this late in the game, it doesn't mean that the fax was received. So you would think a lot want to do fax because it's so late, but it seems like right now for Los Angeles County, the only way to get through is in postal mail. So we're still in the window where you could use the Correos de Costa Rica, but by a week from now, international courier is going to be your only option. So it's fun, it's interesting, it's frustrating. But so I'm just helping people one at a time.
Well, I want to say
Wow.
that the Correos de Costa Rica, I use the International Prioritario, and that woman at the Furiscal office told me 21 days to 1 month, and it was 21 days. But
Oh,
so I don't
Yikes.
think that we're at 16 days till the election now. I do not think that the Correos, without using the EMS courier service or DHL, either one of those would be the way to go. But that's my opinion in Costa Rica.
for the states that the cutoff is November 5th. California, I believe, it goes an extra week, and New York goes until November 18th. So you really have to have your act together and assess the situation, decide which way to go. Also, I'm also on Intercom. I'm getting referrals for Costa Rica, and there's a lot of voter anxiety going on right now. And so and when people contact me, if it's on an email, it's Intercom, I say, we really appreciate you contacting us. We're very concerned. And some people, that's all they need, is to know that we're concerned about it.
And Intercom is the system that the voter assistance crew uses to sort through and delegate assignments to, okay, this person is in your country, please address this issue that they have. And so Intercom is not like another messaging app like WhatsApp, which I misunderstood earlier on. So that's what my understanding is. So we're almost coming up on the hour. I just wanted to ask you if you
I
had
want to
any.
interrupt just for a second. This is very important for the phone bankers. All the references I'm getting to receiving now on Intercom are coming through phone banking calls.
Yes, yes, because we write in the notes.
Right.
or we check they want assistance, and then we write what kind of assistance in the notes.
So we're
So
working together as a team.
yes, and doing a good job we are, I think. I'm very happy with our efforts. I want to say that one of my interesting calls just at the very tag end of phone banking, and I gave myself permission to follow through this because kind of like privately I've been told, okay, if your call's going a little bit longer, it's not a really big issue because we have enough funding. I got one of my very last calls in Call Hub this past week was for a woman in Peru, and she wanted me to sit there and help her go through Vote from Abroad to submit her FPCA. And I did. And she gave me she votes in Colorado, and I checked online with the Colorado Secretary of State's office, found the thing to check her registration. Her registration was active. So to do that, she had to be comfortable to give me her birth date. But she did. I looked it up. I found it. We confirmed the address where she had registered before. She submitted her FPCA. She's still within the window to get her ballot and have time to receive and return it. So that worked out, and she submitted it while I was on the phone with her.
Wow.
So I feel like, well, I had done something good
For
for
sure.
that. So, but otherwise, I was like, I was a bad girl. I stayed on this call and I shouldn't have. But no, I helped her. So this woman in Peru wanted to vote. She wasn't sure, what she needed to do. She wasn't sure that she had submitted an FPCA before. She wasn't sure what the website was. I sent her the text, so she had the link. Opened the link, and then I opened my sandbox version of Vote from Abroad to check on her progress on what she was doing. And I did look up her voter registration status for Colorado to make sure she was all good. She votes in Denver County, so we got all that. And then my personal young woman here who has dual citizenship, we got her FPCA submitted to New Jersey before the deadline. And she was born in New Jersey, and she has a copy of her birth certificate and her passport ready if they ask her. And I asked her to let me know when she got her ballot back by email or if they contacted her. And I'm still waiting on that. She's still got time to do that, but I've already advised her because that she's probably going to need to return her ballot by DHL because of the timing involved. And she's prepared to do that. And I have never asked her, if she's voting for Kamala Harris. I've just been a, nonpartisan, request your ballot type person. So I feel like, chances are that she's going to vote for Kamala Harris. But there's so much that's going on that we could talk about. Edmund, why don't you go ahead and have a say?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. First, I do want to encourage anybody who is interested in getting more information about how this new phone banking works. Please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk in person, over the phone, whatever. Connie, feel free to distribute my information however you see fit. I'm
Okay.
totally happy to do whatever.
Okay.
Just two quick stories that you guys mentioned. We had a voting event in Uvita not too long ago, and there was a guy from North Carolina who he was ready to fly back to North Carolina to vote, and he was thrilled to learn he didn't have to do that. So we saved him a lot of money. And my sort of most memorable call I made this week, I got somebody to volunteer, and just before I clicked to send this person the link so that she could follow up, that's when my internet went out.
Oh, oh no. Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop recording now. Okay, stopping recording. The last thing I have on my mind is to ask. Okay, we have 2 more cocktail hours already on the books. What are your feelings, anybody, about meeting again next Sunday or skipping a Sunday?
My brother's coming on Friday from Denver, and he'll be here until November 4th. So I probably won't be available, for the cocktail hour.
Okay.
I'm fine. Go ahead. I'm fine if we skip.
Okay.
Okay.
I love the cocktail, and I would, even if it's just 2 or 3 of us.
Okay, we can compare experiences. Maybe some more people will want to try what Ed's doing and want to talk about that. Let's go ahead and I'll leave it on. I'll leave it on the books, and then people could come or not according to their availability and what's going on. Barbara Steenstrup couldn't join us today. She's celebrating her birthday. Her birthday is the same day. October 20th is Kamala Harris, separated by a few years. So we wish her happy birthday and many happy returns. Feliz cumpleaños. So we sent her, a lot of people sent her a message on the WhatsApp group. I thought I stopped recording. Ta-da! Let's see. Stop recording. Yes.